This is Carl with your weekly livestock update from us here at Consus. It was another week of livestock being led by the cash markets, and this was very evident once again in the cattle. Cattle bids this week coming in, a little bit higher, but it doesn't take to be a little bit higher, and you are a lot higher when you look at the values. Um, Cash cattle in the south, anywhere 203, 204, pretty much the same in the north, really. Bids have narrowed up. Basically, if you said cash cattle trade this week 202 to 205 in a very light test, you would cover it. Feeders a little bit stronger. Feeders up 6 to 8, some fancies up 12. But basically, you continue to see a strong cash market. A little bit of pushback from the Packers towards the end of the week. A little bit decline in interest, and that did give us a lower close on Friday in the cattle. Also, some export concerns. It wasn't a very good week for beef export sales. We had good loadings, but pretty light on the selling. Pork sales pretty good for the week. Cancellations in beef. We saw cancellations this week, and I really don't like that. What we're really watching right now in both markets is the Lunar New Year celebration going to be starting in China last Wednesday of the month. When that takes place, usually we see pork demand pick up, and on the grain side, you see flour for wheat, or wheat for flour, I should say. But it's when you tend to see pork demand pick up in China. They're really hoping for it this year because China has, still sitting on quite a bit of pork they need to work through. And then we picked up rumblings this week that some of their feeders are going to expand. And I'm like, you just got back to being profitable. But that's what's taking place in the hogs. A lot of Chinese uncertainty. Funds have trimmed their long position in hogs considerably. They were record long, 130,000 contracts here just a month ago. That's down to a manageable 85 to 90,000. We'll get the update here, but definitely trim that long a little bit. Cattle, not so much. We continue to see buying in cattle on the breaks. Managed money pouring in. Funds are record long feeders and heavily long the fat cattle. Starting to see a little bit of pushback, like I said there. Something we've noticed is that these high weights, the Packers are showing a little bit of concern over some of the weights coming in 18, 1900 pounds, and all that isn't all of them. But the weekly average weight is starting to creep higher, and we're pushing close to 1,500 pounds for the average. Now you can say that, yeah, there's a lot more steers coming in the kill line than cows, and that's why we're getting higher weights. And yes, that does happen, but not to this point. When you got guys holding them a little bit too long, they're getting a little bit fatty in there, and that does throw up a little bit of a red flag over what we might see for demand if the quality starts to slip backwards a little bit. One big story that came out this week that I want to touch on, and I not too surprised on this, but in California, the Proposition 12 out there has backfired on them a little bit. Proposition 12 was basically you have to state that your hogs were raised humanely and such on and so forth. And I'm not balking that. Yes, you want to raise animals humanely. I fully believe that. But livestock is a brutal industry. So the Proposition 12 out there in California has raised pork values 40% above the rest of the United States. Some pork suppliers won't even deliver into California because of the red tape they have to go through and the regulations in this Prop 12. So now you got restaurants that are saying, well, we can't get pork. When we do, it's ungodly expensive. Talk to a consumer in California, $16 a pound for bacon. I checked the Walmart ad. You can get that locally for 5. So yeah, that is a bit of a concern out there. It's good for beef. We're seeing good beef demand going into California, but it's concerning for the hog industry, and it's concerning for hog feeders, and it's concerning for the consumers. You push us back onto a consumer, it just strains them that even more. So interesting development out there that we'll keep an eye on. Looking for next week's trade, it's going to be cold. We are not going to see heavy deliveries probably Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. This cold is coming all the way across the Corn Belt. Going to put a little bit of stress on the cattle. It's going to be not dire for them, but you're going to see gains. It's tough to gain cattle when it's 20 degrees below zero. We'll see if the market reacts accordingly. Those are the top stories we had in the livestock complex this week.